name is Dooley. He's my guy and I love him truly. He's not good looking, heaven knows, but I'm wild about his crazy clothes. He wears tan shoes with pink shoelaces, a polka dot vest, and man, oh man, he wears tan shoes with pink shoelaces and a big Panama.
Welcome to our YouTube channel titled Vinyl City Broadcasting, your transit express to rock and roll trivia. I'm Marie, the host of VCB. I'm standing here next to our cruiser and in front of our guest house in Vista, California. Now, how many out there in VCB land have been on a 12-foot yacht? Maybe a dinghy, but a 12-foot yacht? We were wondering the same thing. Our guest on the show today is Dodie Stevens, and she sings about it in her 1959 hit single, Pink Shoelaces. We also had the pleasure of meeting her daughter, Stephanie, who shares the stage with Dodie when they perform. Before we go inside and interview her, just a brief synopsis on Dodie. Her resume is quite impressive, appearing on numerous television shows, movie appearances, overseas tours, and major music venues all over the world, including Las Vegas. She was part of a command performance before the Queen, a special performance at the Kennedy Center for former President George H.W. Bush, and the Surf Ballroom. The list of her accomplishments goes on and on. Over the years, Dodie has toured with such teen idols like Frankie Avalon, Fabian, Annette Funicello, Paul Anka, Bobby Rydell, and others. Quite a lineup of performers. So why don't we go inside and talk to Dodie? Hello, Dodie.
Hi.
It's so nice to see you again. Last time was at the Sarita Center for the Performing Arts about a year and a half ago.
Mm-hmm.
You and your daughter Stephanie put on a terrific show.
Thank you.
And we appreciate that you invited us into your home to do this interview. You only live about 40 minutes from our VCB West office.
Mm-hmm.
Your career has covered so many aspects of rock and roll that we don't know where to begin. So we'll start with your song, Pink Shoelaces.
That's what started it.
That's right.
Yeah.
And you can fill in between the timeline about the course of your career. And as you can see, we all wore pink shoelaces for the occasion.
I know. And I don't, I have a pair of pink shoelaces.
Of course, you have.
Of course I do.
So we just have a few questions for you.
Okay.
In 1959, at age 13, you had a #1 hit with Tan Shoes and Pink Shoelaces. The question that all of our VCB audience would like to know, who has a 12-foot yacht nowadays? And that's more like a dinghy, isn't it?
Absolutely. And I've said the same thing over the years. It's more like a dinghy. And, okay, here's the thing. The writer of Pink Shoelaces, Mickey Grant is her name. At the time, back in 1959, she was very much involved in writing musicals, songs for musicals. Very prolific writer. All of her lyrics had meaning. And so on a dare, now this is a story I heard years later, on a dare from her friends who was aware of all of her wonderful music in theater, they dared her to write something stupid, silly. They didn't think she could, so she said, oh yeah? Get a load of this. So that's how Pink Shoelaces came about, and the character that she wrote about, The 12-foot yacht, of course, I'm sure she knew. There's no yacht that's 12 feet. It's a dinghy, it's a rowboat, it's just, it's that. But she wanted it to be silly because the character was silly.
Yes.
He went deep sea diving in a submarine or something like that. It was just nonsense. It was nonsense, but that was her goal.
And it was such a fun song.
It was fun. And here, the part that goes, woo-hoo, hoo-hoo. Okay, that was from my vocal coach at the time. She was at the recording studio, and she was the one that said, oh, why don't you sing this in between the verses? And it got to be one of those things like the hook. You've heard of that before, the hook of a song. That was the hook of the song. And everybody was singing the ooh-hoos, the hoo-hoos, or whatever you want to call them. Yeah.
Great story.
Yeah,
Great.
yeah.
Now, is there anything else you'd like to talk about regarding the song, or did we cover it?
We pretty much did. It was something, I think I told you I didn't like it because it just wasn't my style of music.
Okay,
Yeah.
we're glad you did it.
But now, let me tell you, I'm proud of it and I'm grateful for it. I still don't like it, but I have fun with it. In fact, when Stephanie and I do it, and Stephanie, my daughter, is always part of my show, and on that song, which is the last song of the set, obviously, you got to save the best for last. She's singing background, and I'm just having fun with the lyrics. I'm just kind of dancing around, so I make it be fun, as opposed to, oh no, not this again. So I enjoy it. I enjoy singing the song.
And we need fun songs, Dodie.
Yeah, you're telling me.
I'm sure in all your touring, you must have a funny or humorous story to tell us, don't you?
Well, the one that comes to mind
Yes.
is my first international tour. That was to Australia in 1959. The Champs were on the show, which, by the way, for your viewers, I don't know if they realize it, but Seals and Crofts, Jimmy Seals and Dash Crofts were a part of the Champs. That's how they started. And then later, I think it was in the 80s, if I'm not mistaken. I might be wrong about that. That's when they had their Summer Breeze, and they were known as Seals and Crofts. So they're on the tour with me. Jimmy Rogers. And so we leave LAX. We leave from LAX, and we're flying to Australia. We had a couple of scheduled stops. But we had some mechanical problems with the plane. So they wanted to make sure that, of course, we were all safe. So they landed the plane in the nearest airport, which was the Fiji Islands, which is a very small island. The airport itself was just one large room. So when they heard there was going to be like this emergency landing, so to speak, or unscheduled landing, they had a spread of food for us. And lots of alcohol.
Oh boy.
Okay. So the tribe, and there was a tribe on the island, they were these huge 6-foot-something guys with big afros, and they are drinking their faces off. They are getting smashed. Okay. So Dash and Jimmy from the Champs, myself, my sister was on the tour as well. We decided we don't want to be a part of this, so we took a walk to the beach. And within minutes, we see these, 5 or 6 of these tribesmen coming towards us with tiki torches. And the one that was leading them was the chief. And he sits himself down. The guys are standing behind him. He sits himself down in the sand. And he looks at me and he says, "Beauty, I want you to be my wife."
Oh no.
And I'm 13 years old. And I don't know how old he was, but he's the chief, so he's got to be some person that's way older than 13. He wanted me to be his wife. And so we're kind of looking at each other, Jimmy and Dash, and my sister Elaine and me, we're going, what are we going to do? So Dash, who's a character anyhow, he chimes in, he says, "Well, golly, Mr. Chief, she's my girlfriend, and we're going to be leaving real soon." And so we just got up and slowly walked away, and the chief took a header into the sand, passed out, and that was that.
Well, Dash is a friend for life.
For life because of that. He saved me from the chief.
He certainly did.
Telling you.
So an appropriate ending, too.
Yeah, so that story will always remain with me, that memory.
Great story.
Yeah.
Now, another question. Who were your musical influences growing up, if any, and did singing come naturally to you?
Many influences, and very diverse. First of all, let's go back to, did singing come naturally? Absolutely. I believe we're all born with our gifts. And as we grow up and we learn about them, we discover them. What is it that you have a passion for? What is it that you feel good about every time you do it? What is it that brings you joy every time you do it? And it's not work, it's love. For me, it was always singing. At a very young age, I was born in Chicago, moved to Southern California when I was 2 or 3, and I was told, I don't remember it, but I was told that when my uncle came home on leave, he was in the Army, he would bring some of his buddies, you know, and come to visit the family. And he'd say, "Come on, Geraldine," that's my real name. "Come on, Geraldine, come with us to the corner candy store and sing for us." I said, "Okay, you didn't have to twist my arm." So they take me by the hand. We go to in front of the candy store, and I'm singing whatever. I was just singing, and I'm like 3 years old or something. And then they got me candy, and that was my reward for it. So I was born to sing. Okay. My influences. So Judy Garland was my first influence.
Yes.
Then as a teenager, I was influenced by Dusty Springfield, Melissa Manchester, Bonnie Raitt, and Barbra Streisand. Oh, and let's not forget Aretha Franklin.
Oh, let's not.
She was in there too.
Yes.
So I don't, a lot of singers, you'll hear them and they'll go, "Oh, you sound just like so-and-so," and that's because typically you happen to listen to one singer over and over, and so we're like mockingbirds. All of us are. That's how we learn to speak or sing or whatever. And so you kind of take on those vocal abilities. For me, because it was so diverse, I just loved them all. I loved what they brought to the table. And I just developed my own voice, so I never really sounded like anybody, and I've never had anybody say, "Oh, you sound just like." But those are my influences.
Well, we can see that you were certainly born to sing. We're happy you did. And
Me too.
And you could do what you love.
I love it.
You know,
I love it.
it's a wonderful thing, and you have wonderful musical influences.
Yes, I did.
Now, are there any new projects that you're working on that our VCB audience needs to know about?
I would love to tell your audience about my newest project.
We'd love to hear you.
It's with my daughter, and it's called Affirm-a-Song. Affirm-a-Song. Affirm-a-Song are inspirational and motivational songs that I wrote, and all the lyrics have something to do with very positive thinking. It's something that I don't think enough of us in this world have. We're so caught up in, and it's very human to get caught up in the negative side of life.
Yes.
Looking at the bad instead of the good. So Affirm-a-Song is about, come on, let's stop that nonsense. Let's start thinking and speaking positively. It's like one of the songs that I wrote was called "I Am," and the chorus is about I am is energy, and you get to be what you will be. You say it, you believe it, and that's what it's going to be. So it's very important that you watch your words, you watch your thoughts. Sometimes your thoughts will just go crazy on you, and you got to go, now wait a minute, now look, let's just look at it from a different point of view. So that's what it's about. It's kind of an interactive concert as well, where people can sing along. I wrote them in a very repetitive fashion. Lyrics are simple, melodies are simple. So once you hear it, and then you hear it again, and then you hear it again, and you start to sing these songs without, and that's the other thing. You can go to lectures, you can go and read a ton of books all about positive thinking. After a while, you might forget what you heard or what you read. Whereas with songs stay with you.
Yes.
Do you remember learning your ABCs?
Not
Do you
sure.
remember this? Does anybody remember? Maybe your audience remembers A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R.
Okay.
Do you, I'm
Okay,
telling
we remember
you,
that, yes.
to this day, and how many years, how many decades later, I still know that song. I remember that song. So that's how this Affirma song came to be. Let me write some songs where people can sing them. They're always going to be with them. The other thing is listen to it in the car. Listen to the CD in the car when you're stuck in traffic and you're miserable and you're just, oh no, am I ever going to get out of this traffic jam? Listen to the CD. It'll lift your spirits. It'll lift your spirits. One of the other songs is 21 Days, and it's about breaking a bad habit. And it's not just about addiction to alcohol or drugs or, the obvious ones, smoking or, overeating, whatever. It could be habitual negative thinking, complaining, always saying the worst instead of the best. It could be stuff you're not even aware of. So try to change it for 21 days. Listen to the CD for 21 days, and I guarantee you it will have an effect.
Positivity through song.
Yes.
And more of that's needed.
So much more of that is needed. I wish that the young people, the young artists of these days that have such an influence would do stuff like that. They don't know how powerful they are to their fans.
Well, we're in agreement, Dodie.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for sharing so much cool trivia about yourself and your current endeavors for our VCB audience. And we're sure looking forward to watching your television appearance with KFMB Channel 8 here in San Diego with Jeff Zeverly.
Yes. And I wanted to tell your audience as well, we are doing our concert, our Affirma Song free concert at the end of the month, which is July 27th. It's a Saturday at 4 p.m. A restaurant in Vista called Wildwood Crossing. So I would love to see everybody there. And Stephanie and I are very excited about it. I hope you and Rico can be there as well. And Donna, your friend, and anybody else that you want to bring. It would be lovely. So yes, I wanted to get that out there.
Well, thank you so much for the invitation, Dodie. And regarding the Channel 8 interview with Jeff Zeverly, by the time of this VCB interview, your television interview will have already been aired. Mm-hmm. So we'll put a link to your interview on the last slide for our VCB audience to enjoy.
Great.
And do you have any closing thoughts for us, Dodie?
Well, I wanted to thank you and Rico for coming here and doing this interview and being fans, obviously, for so long. And the wonderful poster that you gave me, the mock billboard cover that I have hanging up in my studio. It was such a special gift. And the way you did it with all the different ages. I think the youngest, I was 7 and I was on the Frankie Lane show. And you even have a picture of that. It's just wonderful. It's very special.
You look so beautiful in that picture, Dodie.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And we appreciate you, and such a pleasure to be here and interviewing you.
Thank you.
Hope to see you at the next show.
I hope so too. A doo-wop show, and then I hope you're going to be at the Affirma Song concert.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
I'm back outside just waiting for the rest of the team. After the interview, we took a few pictures with Dodie, Stephanie, and the VCB team. We had a wonderful time. Dodie showed us the Billboard comp cover hanging on her wall, which she loves, and other memorabilia and awards she's accumulated over the years. Let's highlight a little of what Dodie talked about. I'm glad you cleared up the 12-foot yacht question. The Fiji chief. That was a funny story. and you related it to us like it was just only yesterday. Asking you to be his wife and then moments later passing out and taking a header onto the sand had to be a sight to see. Quite comical. I'm sure he's no longer around, so if you wanted to go back, I'm just saying. We can see the results by having such wonderful influences in your life, like Judy Garland, Dusty Springfield, Aretha Franklin, Melissa Manchester, Barbara Streisand, and Bonnie Raitt. You were born to sing, Dodie, and you've mastered your craft. And your new project, Affirm a Song, an inspirational, motivational concert and lecture combined. And all the songs have a positive, uplifting message. We'll post the links to your personal website, www.dodiestevens.com, and www.affirmasong.com on our last slide. Also, the interview you did with Jeff Zeverly from Channel 8 News here in San Diego was terrific. Took us down memory lane. We'll post that link also. Jeff really looked like he enjoyed himself. We want to thank you, Dodie and Stephanie, for inviting us into your beautiful home for the interview. We encourage all of you to bookmark our channel, Vinyl City Broadcasting. Who knows where we'll end up next? Maybe at your house. The three of us better get back on the road to VCB West. I see Rico and Donna leaving the house now. Let me get into the cruiser and start it up. I hope Rico remembers to bring the pink shoelaces back with him.
Panama with the purple hat band.